All right, welcome back to Turnbull Garage. So before we get to this video, I just wanted to announce that I have a new sponsor, my first ever sponsor, and that is Proline Part, and they are helping to supply all the parts and pieces required to do the engine rebuild on this Subaru Sambar. They can be reached at minitruckgarage.com, and they have parts and pieces for all makes and models of K-Trucks. Their prices are excellent. They got a great selection, and Todd down there is really good to deal with. Their cross-border shopping is a breeze. So if you're looking for parts for your little K-Truck, strongly suggest you look up minitruckgarage.com and talk to Todd. So before we get to the video, this beautiful clean white shirt has got to come off because as you guys have seen, I get filthy quick. So we're going to get changed out of this shirt and then we're going to get back to the restoration of this Subaru Sambar. All right, let's have a quick look at what I got in this box of goodies. So I got the crank seals and the camshaft seal. I got the timing belt. I got a water pump. I got the timing belt tensioner, exhaust manifold gasket. I got a set of main bearings, standard size. I already had a set of rod bearings, so I didn't have to worry about that, so no worries there. Valve cover gasket. That's for another video. Engine gasket set. So one thing about the Proline Part, when you order an engine gasket set, you get an engine gasket set. I'm talking everything and more. You've got your standard head gasket, intake manifold, stuff like that, valve seals. That's pretty standard. But as well, what you get is all the little weird shaped rubber parts that go between the the timing covers, the timing belt covers. There's all these little weird shaped pieces that go in there. They usually are either waterlogged or soaked up with oil, and they're no good anymore. It comes with all those and some other parts as well. It comes with a carburetor gasket, and Todd even threw in some new snap rings for the wrist pins because I'm putting new pistons in there. So it really is a complete engine rebuild, a complete engine gasket set. I've also got, he threw in a carb kit because, as you know, the carburetor on this engine, I don't even know if it's salvageable. I'm fingers crossed on that one. I'm hoping I can make 3 carburetors into one. And the last thing I got in here is a new clutch. And I've got a throwout bearing, the pressure plate, and the friction plate. And that's a nice Aisin brand, good quality clutch. So, all right, so that's all the parts. So let's get into the final disassembly of this engine and see what else we can do on this little Subaru. All right, the next part of the disassembly on this engine is actually to open up this oil pump. It's really dirty and everything, and I want to actually take this in and put it in the parts washer, but I want to get the internals separated. So what I've done is used an impact driver, screwdriver, to crack these screws loose. Oh, might have missed one. But the only way you're going to get these screws cracked loose is with one of these tools. So looking at the inside of this oil pump, it's not bad. There's a couple little grooves in there, worn in, but it's overall not too bad. So when you take this apart, you want to make sure that these go back in the same way they came out with respect to up and down, but it's pretty easy. You can see there's a dot on both parts of the pump, so you just have to make sure those are facing up when you put it back together. All right, next thing I'm going to do after the oil pump's opened up there, I'm just going to pop this seal out with a little punch. Comes out real easy. Got new ones of those. So this is the part that I'm going to take to the parts washer. Oh yeah, and I got to remove this oil pressure sensor. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is remove all the intake valves, springs from the head. And the easiest way I've found to do this is actually just take a deep socket, put it over top, and keep your hand on there so it doesn't fly off with a bit of tension, and just give it a crack with a hammer. Try not to make sure you don't lose these little keepers, but give that a little crack, and yeah, they'll come apart. So I'm just going to go, I've got all the keepers, I'm going to put them in a plastic bag, and I'll keep all the intake valves together and all the exhaust valves together in a bag. along with the keepers. And there's one more little part. Well, we'll just let's get all the springs removed first. Okay, now that the springs are all off and they're all in bags and labeled, the next thing I'm going to do is pull the exhaust valves out. And all I did was take a simple cardboard box and I just put intake on one side, exhaust on the other, the arrow pointing to number 1 cylinder, and just poke 4 holes in each side. Really simple, but it's also really important because you don't want to get those valves mixed up. They've got to go back in the same spot they came out of. So that's the next thing I'll do is just push those valves out and pop them in the box. All right, that was not very good because they were extremely tight. There's a lot of rust. Let's see if you can see in there. There's a lot of rust in there. We're going to see what happens when I get this into the wash tank. But those valve guides, I'm hoping this might just a little bit of 600 grit on here, polish those stems up a bit, and I'm hoping they go, because they really should go nice and easy in and out. Well, that's a little concerning, but you know what? I do have a spare head in case this one is no good. That said, the last thing to do is actually remove the old valve seals. So for the valve seal removal, there's a valve seal removal tool. I got tired of trying to use screwdrivers and all this other crap, and so I ended up just buying the right tool, and man, it makes life so much easier. You just basically grab on them and they just pull right off. So as expected, these are actually pretty hard. That thing's not going to be sealing at all. All right, so that has this engine completely dismantled. So I'll be taking the head and the oil pump housing in and throw them in the wash tank and get them nicely cleaned up. Yeah, so that's about all I can do on the Subaru today. I wanted to show you how to completely dismantle the head and the oil pump assembly. And now, as I say, I'm gonna get those in and get them all cleaned up and hopefully be able to salvage this head. The Subaru is taking a bit of a back burner as I've got this other project right now, and that's this 2013 Ford Escape. And I'm doing a rebuild on the automatic transmission. That is taking priority over top of the Subaru. So yeah, I appreciate your patience while I'm waiting to get this other project done. With the Subaru, I am waiting for the machine shop to finish machining the block. I had to get new pistons in so they could size the bores. I'm going 50 over on those because these pistons were scored up pretty bad, and the cylinders, as you saw in that other video, they were beyond salvaging. They had to get bored out, so I've gone 50 over on those. So yeah, once I get that block back from the machine shop, hopefully this week, I can actually get it all painted up and start prepping all this stuff for reassembly. The Ford, I should have the parts for the transmission tomorrow. So once the Ford's out of the way, I will be focused 100% on this little Subaru. So I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed on where I'm at. I know it's been a long time since I've put a video out for the Subaru. I haven't forgotten about it. It's taken a bit of a back burner. So yeah, I appreciate your patience there. So yeah, that's about it for today. Thoughts and comments down below. Think about spending your money there at Proline Part. Tell them Turnbull Garage sent you, and Todd will look after you. So appreciate you watching, and yeah, thanks. Have yourself a great day.